Good morning, church. I pray all is well with you this Friday morning as we begin this study of Proverbs chapter 5. Now, I'll just repeat what I said yesterday at the start, where it was my son or my child. You need to take these words that they're being written to you. Now, there's a severe warning in this text for us. This chapter deals with adultery. And folks, I will tell you that there's many people that think adultery is just the physical act that takes place. I believe that it's actually much deeper than that. I believe that adultery can happen in a person's life whenever they look at things that are inappropriate, whether on a computer or on their cell phone, and they lust after something inside their heart. I actually think that that is adultery. I also think that whenever you get emotionally connected to someone that takes the place of your spouse, I think there's emotional adultery that takes place. And people try to justify and say that, no, adultery is only the physical act. I actually think it's about where your heart is with your relationship with your spouse. And you'll notice in verse number 2, I want to point this out. In verse number 2, you notice that line, it says, and your lips may keep knowledge. Now, notice it says the word knowledge. That word knowledge refers back to Proverbs chapter 1, verse number 7. Proverbs 1:7 said that the beginning of knowledge is fear of the Lord, or fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. And so when you approach studying about adultery, folks, if you have a fear of the Lord inside of you, then that helps keep you away from an adulterous relationship. Verses 3 through verse number 14 talk about all these dangers and harms and telling you to flee from adultery. It calls it a two-edged sword. It says it's bitter as wormwood. It says it's unstable. And there's these warnings. In fact, verse number 8 says, remove your way from her. Get away. Then it goes on to say, don't even get close to her door, the door of adultery. You got to stay away from it. Keep a guard for yourself. Now, I love the transition that takes place in verse number 15, because verse number 15 says, drink the water from your own cistern and running water from your own well. What that is talking about is being satisfied and happy and in love with the spouse that God has given you. It's your own water. That's your cistern. In fact, in verse number 18, many of us know this verse. It says, and rejoice with the wife of your youth. Folks, you got to love the person that God has blessed you with. I think that there are oftentimes people say that I have fallen out of love with my spouse. And it seems to me like, no, if you put love into action, that love is returned. And that person didn't change. That's still the person that you married. And so you have to work together, but that love can last forever. I love thinking about some of the people in our church that have had successful and faithful marriages through all the years, and the way that God has blessed them. I do want you to know that I think that marriage is a blessing of God, and that God looks at marriage and adultery very serious. And with that in mind, look at what verse number 21 says. For the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord. Your ways, your heart, the way that you feel about your spouse, the way that you treat your spouse, all of that is before the Lord. Hey, if you are struggling with something out of this chapter, I encourage you to start seeking counseling. Talk to me, talk to a friend, and come back in love with the spouse that God has blessed you with. Anyway, I pray that you enjoy the study of Proverbs chapter 5, very practical for us. And look forward to seeing you Sunday, and God bless. Y'all have a great day.